We had a heavyweight fight on the basketball court Friday night, and we had another game on Sunday that did not have the same billing as Boston, Cleveland, but lived up to all the hype. We're going to spend the most of today's show talking Cavs Celtics, Cavs Blazers, and all the nuance to what we saw in those two double-digit comebacks. We'll talk a little bit of Browns and a little bit of Guardians at the end, but we'll start with the Cavs after a quick word from Ant. What's up, Ant?
What's up, guys? I'm here to give you your first FanDuel read of the day. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on it with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or you want to bet on a fourth-quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting, whether I'm backing my team for a late game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch three. I never feel like I miss my chance. Plus, the app is super easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official betting partner of the NBA.
Nailed it, Ant.
There it is.
Off to a great start on a Monday morning. We'll talk plenty Cavs Celtics in a little bit, but let's start with the game on Sunday first. 133-129, Cavs knock off the Blazers. In the third quarter, Cleveland trailed by 18 points. ESPN's win probability at that time gave the Blazers a 97.3% chance of pulling off the win. The Cavs now have won 10 straight. It's their third 10-game winning streak of the season. By the way, they're the only team with a single 10-game winning streak of the season. They have 3 of them. They're 50-10, but let's start with this, Earl. Kenny Atkinson, after the game, said, there's a good portion of the game where I didn't think we were going to win. We just simply did not have it. And then Ty Jerome hit the buzzer beater to end the third quarter, and everything changed. Were you in the same boat as Kenny, where at one point in the third quarter or the first half where you said, just one of those games the Cavs don't have it today? Or did you always think they were going to come out and pull off?
No, in the first quarter, I was kind of looking around the arena. I was checking the temperament of the players, and it just looked like one of those games that we didn't have it. We couldn't hit a shot. The refs was quick on the whistle. Like, the turnovers was plentiful. It was careless. The energy from the players was lacking. The energy from the crowd was lacking. It just seemed like everything that can go wrong early went wrong. I mean, you look up, we was down 8-2 within the first 3 minutes of the game. And then you go throughout that first half, and it just seemed like the Cavaliers couldn't catch a rhythm. It seemed like Darius Garland himself, he really couldn't catch a rhythm.
Boy.
And you go through that again. A lot of the pace wasn't there, right? Due to the referee's involvement, the pace just wasn't there. And I didn't think the Cavs had it this night. I thought it was going to be one of those games to where it was going to be a letdown, to where you was going to lose to a team that you quite frankly should beat. And then you didn't have Donovan Mitchell there as well. And Kenny Atkinson had talked about before the game how this Cavaliers team cannot keep getting off to these uncharacteristic slow starts, right? It's like you got to mentally check in immediately, because you cannot continue to find yourselves down 18-plus points and then expect for you to use your resiliency and your grit to constantly, like, battle back. Now, granted, that's cool. It's good to have that. But, I mean, these back-to-back games, you find yourself down 18-plus points. The Cavs won both of those games, but that's the first time they've done that since the 97-98 season. But you don't want to find yourself in that position, right? And Kenny talked about it after the game. This is a product of, a high-intense emotional win against a big opponent, and then you turn around and you play a very, very young, hungry team that's trying to come at you, right? You're the Cleveland Cavaliers. You got the best record in the NBA. And so when you have a team that's young and talented like that, on that type of stage, you want to be able to put that on display. And Portland did a great job of doing that yesterday, despite what the outcome was.
Man, listen, man, I thought they was about here, and I was mad. If you want to watch somebody get mad on the internet, like,
go to his Twitter.
Go to my Twitter, and it's second to second knee-jerk reactions the whole game. And people, it's the best entertaining watch or listen on Twitter by far. And I do be talking to everybody. First of all, the fact that Donovan Mitchell was out of the game, my mom and dad was at my house on the weekend, and they watching the game. I come out the back room. I said, "Where Donovan Mitchell?" They said he got a game. I start yelling like, what you mean he out? Like they took him out the game or something. I was like, see, Kenny did this on purpose. Now, was this a scheduled out game?
Kenny said it was a scheduled rest.
He be doing that just because of rest. On blanket level, He says, I'm doing that because of rest. I think he does that to make these other dudes dial in. Mm-hmm. I think he does it to see, okay, Darius, take the reins. Okay, Evan, are you going to be aggressive today? Jared, you going to have that energy today? Yeah, what's going on? And then when I saw Donovan out in the game and they couldn't hit a shot, I said, they're going to try. I said, I hope they don't try to say this is a scheduled loss. I know they're going to say the Celtics, yeah, we gave everything we had. This was one of them nights where we wouldn't be able to shoot the ball. Ball wasn't going in the basket. But one thing I like, if it wasn't for Ty Jerome.
Yep.
You see, Ty Jerome has this disease, and it's called I think I'm him right now. This is Steph Jerome.
Ain't no cure for it. Ain't no cure for it.
Ain't no cure for Steph
Dude
Jerome.
Been to the doctor and everything. They say he's stuck with this stuff.
No, antibiotics don't work. None of that.
Nothing.
And it's contagious because it's more his boy DeAndre Hunter. They think they the Splash Brothers.
You know something, right? You know I'm from the hood, so the only time you call 12 these days is when you calling for DeAndre Hunter to come off that bench.
That's it.
That's the only time you call for 12.
I say, they start dribbling. I seen him get in there, and when he started getting his little push shot off, I said, Ty Jerome. Steph Jerome is feeling it. And then he starts hitting, he hit that 3 McNuggets. And then
the third quarter changed everything.
It changed everything. Everybody was into it. I said, okay, well, now all we need is one more. Get me one of the Backstreet Boys off the bench. Sam Merrill. Everybody.
Money Merrill.
Rock your body. Come on in here. And he hit 2 or 3 of them, and now we right back. I said, oh, yeah, now we cooking. And then it got to a point, McNuggets, I was kind of salty when they took Ty Jerome out and brought Darius Garland back in. I was like, I can't say that out loud. I didn't turn the corner on Darius. I can't say that. But when he brought him back in, I was like, he knows he's Steph Jerome. Listen, I've never seen this before, but them two dudes put the cape on, and it's always great to see bench role guys put the cape on because it's that much more special.
There were legitimate parts in yesterday's game, and give Portland credit, because Portland played their tails off yesterday. They did a lot of things defensively to try and take Cleveland out of what it was trying to run offensively, especially with Donovan Mitchell out of the game. But when Ty Jerome hit that 3 at the end of the third quarter, Earl, you were there, I was there. The place erupted. And for the first 35 minutes and 58 seconds, there was just a lull. It did not feel like the same level of energy inside Rocket Arena that we had seen all season for almost every single home game. And Ty hit that bucket, I looked at Earl and said, they're going to win this damn game, aren't they? And next thing you know, in the fourth quarter, Jerome continues to ball out. Merrill hits the threes. DeAndre Hunter hits 2 threes from the left wing and then the right wing in clutch situations. And then Max Strus comes and hits the 3 in the corner to then give them the chance to go to overtime. The refereeing, I'm not going to address it because there's nothing that can be said. Just like Ty Jerome, we'll get fined if we address it, so we're just going to leave it at that. If you have any comments, I'm sure you're right, but I'm not going to address it. I plead the fifth. But that was a night that the Cavs had their C game. Maybe a D-plus game. Seriously, they did not play well against the Portland team that entering last night had won 11 of 14, who needed that win. And for 12 minutes, and then 17 if you count overtime, the Cavs found a way to erase 35 minutes of piss-poor basketball to their standards. And it's just a little symbolic that on Nick Gilbert night, the most resilient Cavs fan maybe ever, the Cavs found a way to fight back, show their most resilient form, and find a way to win that game in overtime in honor of Nick. I thought it was pretty telling.
What's not to like? I mean, what's not to like? You mentioned Max Strus, man. 8 points and 5 rebounds in the fourth quarter and overtime combined. When you talk about DeAndre Hunter, Ty Jerome, and Max Strus, I thought those was the 3 guys who really, really, carried us to victory, especially after Evan Mobley fouled out, right?
Yeah.
Because in that situation right there, and then you look at the late game situation where we decided to foul, send them.
And Darius misses the free throw.
Darius misses the free throw. So there was a lot of opportunities there for this game to be lost, but the Cavs still showed that resiliency and that grit. I don't like the fact that we keep getting off to these slow starts, right? We are a championship caliber team, and that's a mindset. You got to be locked in like that from the start. And Kenny talked about that, right? He wants to see.
Kenny mentioned it with Boston, though, because you do know Cleveland has the best point differential in the first quarter of the season.
Yeah,
so
but
certain
think about
teams
it, though.
They get 10.
But he even mentions, he said it happened twice in Boston, and then he pointed to the home court. He said it's even happened here.
All 4 times against Boston.
Yeah, but it's even happened here. And
all 4
sometimes
games.
I just think that it's like you said, it's human nature, right? But you got to understand that, like, when you're dealing with these young teams and you come into these games 11-point favorites and you got these young athletic teams who are playing well and want to prove themselves, you are the Cleveland Cavaliers, right? So you might not be the defending NBA champions, but because of the cliche that comes with who you are, you're going to get everybody's best shot.
Yep.
This is an opportunity for young guys like Simmons, for example, to put on display like, hey, I'm a baller too.
That Simons cat was hitting that. Listen, this
he can
dude,
play.
this dude, I'm like, who is this guy? And the Evita guy, listen, this dude.
I told y'all about Denny.
Yeah.
Every team, and this is to your point. When you are the Cavs and you're the first team to 50 wins, you're gonna get every punch. People that was not really locked in before, they're gonna come into your building and they're gonna feel like, oh no, this is my opportunity to show what I can do.
For sure.
And Simons couldn't miss. I mean, he almost banked in a three at the end. And by the way, I'll give the Trailblazers credit because they could have folded in the last 2 minutes of the game. They pushed it and got it to overtime. So I mean, they played a heck of a game, but I can't say enough about the fact that
That was nasty.
DeAndre Hunter just don't want to miss. I looked at my dad.
He's shooting 60% from three as a Cav.
He don't
60%.
He's pulling up with no remorse. Like, yeah, I'm him. Yeah, me and my boy. This is the Virginia Cavaliers. You don't, not the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's Virginia Cavaliers. We do our thing. 32.7 rebounds.
Bro, in
The
8
Cavs-
games, what is it, 16 points a game he's averaging since he's arrived here in Cleveland? That's crazy.
It's actually lower than it was in Atlanta, but he's been incredible. He's playing fewer minutes. The Cavs don't beat Boston on Friday or Portland yesterday without that guy right there.
Right.
DeAndre Hunter has been the difference, and y'all know I like George Niang. That's my guy. DeAndre Hunter's minutes at the 4 are what George Niang was playing. Just switch. Go back to Friday's game, and we'll talk a little bit more about this in a little bit, and we'll go to yesterday's game. If you just switch out Hunter and Niang, the Cavs pull off that comeback yesterday?
No.
Do they come back from Boston?
No.
And especially in how Hunter played in a defensive standpoint against
Right.
Boston? No, they don't. And now Atkinson in back-to-back games has closed the game with Jared Allen on the bench, Hunter at the 4, and Mobley at the 5. Mobley fouled out, and then Allen came in. But he was going to, if he didn't foul out, finish the game at the 5. You can now swap out Hunter with either of the bigs, and I think Kenny likes Mobley there better than Allen just because of the offensive ability. And you're not losing – you're losing a little bit of rim protection. Hunter's not the rim protector that Jared Allen is, but you have way more shot creation. You have way more spacing because Hunter's shooting 60% from 3. And at 6'8" with a 7'2", 7'3" wingspan, you still have the size. The Cavs don't go into this height deficit or this length deficit if Hunter's at your 4. And if you want to pair Hunter with Wade, with Mobley in the front court, you can switch 1 through 5, or really 3 through 5 in the front court in late game situations, which just is an absolute nightmare for other teams. Because who are you trying to single out? Who are you hunting mismatches with? And if you do get a mismatch on a Jerome or a Darius Garland or whatever, and they want to attack, well, good luck trying to attack around Evan Mobley at the rim, DeAndre Hunter's arms just getting in passing lanes and being in a contest, and then Dean Wade, who we'll talk about later, is just a really good, smart help defender.
I love that. Go ahead.
No, real
Go
quick
ahead.
on the Jared Allen point, I've noticed this the last couple games that closing lineup, Jared is on the bench. He's been playing like 22, 23 minutes those last couple games. But even credit to him because when Evan Mobley fouled out, I think he had set for like 7 or 8 minutes or something.
Almost
like
the whole
that.
fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Almost the whole fourth. And he came in and gave some impactful minutes in that late fourth and in overtime. So that right there is a testament to everybody on this team always being locked in and always being ready for their number to be called. And it's like regardless of what the situation is, for him to not be in that closing lineup, and he's kind of used to being in that closing lineup, and still be locked in and ready to go despite the situation, like you got to give a tip of the cap to Jared Allen.
I was just going to ask you that because
He don't care.
he don't care.
He don't.
Ego. He of all players on the completely egoless.
Well, I wouldn't even say about care. It's maybe the rhythm, right? Like he's not going to say, "Oh, well, listen, you guys aren't playing me in closing time," but there is a certain rhythm that you're used to as a starter playing certain amounts of minutes, where it's like, okay, you kind of have to adjust your game a little bit. Say, for instance, if I'm not playing at the end of the game, does that mean that I need to be more aggressive during the mid parts of the game?
Maybe, but for a guy like Jared Allen, who they don't really run offense for,
Right.
and it's not like he's a jump shooter. Like, Max Strus needs to get in a rhythm. Max Strus is streaky.
Oh, yeah.
And he got hot late in the fourth quarter. The first 3 quarters.
They love him, by the way.
He
They love
real
him.
quick on Strus.
Go ahead.
He does a lot of the intangible things that don't show
Yeah.
up in a box score. But if he's not making shots and you do look at the box score, you go, whoa.
Yeah, it's one of
Gives you the EBGBs.
It's one of them dudes. Like now, granted, he hit some big threes down the stretch.
2, 1 at the end of the fourth quarter, 1 in overtime.
He had some big threes, and I feel like they go out of their way to make sure that he at least tries to get in the rhythm. I've noticed that they'll run plays for him at the beginning of quarters, either out of halftime, and Donovan Mitchell will be on the court. And it's a conscientious effort to get him to be able to shoot the ball and to get him into a rhythm. So here's the thing. He's gonna get minutes.
He's a winning player.
Yeah, he's
gonna.
They're not gonna straight take him out of their lineup, nor am I not advocating him getting all the minutes to DeAndre Hunter. But what I am saying is this: I love the Cavs when they are playing Hunter and when they're playing Dean Wade. And now I don't mind it so much if you're going small and you have Strus in there with those two.
Well, you're not small. If
Those
those
two
two are your two
you're not even
forwards
small.
plus a big, like you're not. At that point, you're 6'11",
Yep.
6'9", 6'9", 6'5". Like,
And the floor is this. It's
Yeah.
huge. The whole world you can pull up.
You talked about the intangibles that don't show up in the box score. What did Kenny call him after the game yesterday? He called him wild thing.
Yep.
And that's exactly what that is. Those are all those unwritten intangibles because the players, the coaches, anybody that you talk to, they go to bat for Max Strus, right? Max Strus is the one guy that Kenny mentioned very first off. This is the guy who fits my system. And if you would know this more than me, but if you just look at the games, right? Nobody runs more than Max Strus does, right? And so the shot might not be there all the time.
he draws attention.
But he draws attention, and he's always doing those little things that his minutes is not going anywhere. And keep in mind, when he was in Miami, this dude had some big playoff games and big moments. So, you want to keep him in rhythm. You want to keep him involved. And I think it's going to be team dependent on who's getting the start.
Yeah, go ahead and get to that, Earl.
You know what I mean?
You already know what we want to hear.
Like for me, this is just me. I know Mike want to keep Hunter coming off the bench. I know you want to keep calling 12 to come to the rescue, but I need 12 out there right away. Like right away. I just think that you insert DeAndre Hunter into the starting lineup. I think it changes the psyche. I think it changes the mentality just of that particular group. For no reason outside of that, man, you got a 6'8" two-way he's like you said, he's shooting 60% from three. He's averaging 16 a game, playing less minutes since he's been here in Cleveland. And I think he will play well off of Mobley with Garland and Spider in that backcourt. I just think it makes perfect sense, right? This is a dude that's tough. He got the size. He has the athleticism. Like, he can score. You got enough guys coming off the bench to where you can rotate who's whatever. But as you get towards the end of this season, it just makes more sense to me for DeAndre Hunter to be in that starting lineup.
I'm gonna give you this. I'm gonna ask you this question because this might be. I don't know. I don't be in there. Could it be DeAndre Hunter? They brought him in. Kenny Atkinson had a conversation with him and said, "Hey, were you comfortable with? We trying to figure out where you want to come and get." That was crazy. Figuring out where you're best in the lineup, getting a rhythm. So he says, the first game, Max Strus, I think, hurt his ankle one playing. He started that game. He started coming off the bench. Is there a thing that says maybe Hunter says, "Hey, I've been coming off the bench. I've been,
it's certainly possible.
My man, me and Jerome, we got a little thing going on. We doing our thing. Got a rather rhythm. Is there a chance that he says, "Oh yeah, this is what I'm trying to do"?
He said to us in the locker room, it wasn't yesterday, it was Sunday. He's like, I don't care when I play. I just want to play.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think he really cares starting, coming off the bench. My only thing, if you're playing Boston, I would start him. I'm with you.
There you go. That's all. I'm glad you signed that peace treaty.
Against the other teams,
we signed that peace treaty today.
I still like how Strus fits with the two bigs. If you're playing both bigs, Strus is better at running off screens, playing off that. Like, he fits better with those. But against Boston, which is the real thing we're going to talk about later, I'm with you. You start him because you need him to guard one of the wings. Taylor
That's beautiful.
So I think right now, for the next 20 games, I don't care. If they're in a 7-game series with Boston, Hunter better be your starting.
See, listen, a Bull and Jay, that's how you sign a peace treaty. You notice we didn't have to do all that. The treaty came, we signed the documents, we ready to go to the next topic.
All right, one more thing on the Cavs before we move on. They're 50-10. Do you know how many teams in the history of the league had won 50 of their first 60 games?
4.
More than 4.
Wow. I said that confidently too.
Yeah, you
Wrong.
did. You had your chest out.
Yeah,
He was
4.
like 4.
It's not a lot. It is more than 4, but it ain't 4.
He was like 4. 4.
50 and
was 4 of 'em.
10 in 60 games. How many teams, Earl?
7.
The Cavs are the 12th team
That's a lot.
to ever
of
do
teams.
it. But of the 11 teams that have previously done that,
Mm-hmm.
how many think have won the NBA championship? And it's a good sign for the Cavs. A little spoiler alert.
11.
No, not all 11. One of the teams was the 2015-16 Warriors,
Yeah.
who lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers in the championship.
8.
10.
6 of the 11 have won the NBA Finals. More than 50% of teams who have started 50 and 10 in a season have gone on to win the Finals. It is a great sign for the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are still severely underrated and undervalued in the sports books if you want to place
You know,
responsibly a bet on FanDuel.
real quick. The 50 wins was that 13th time in franchise history. Like, you look at the success this Cleveland Cavaliers team is having now, post LeBron. Like, to me, that's the testament of, one, good scouting, knowing how to identify talent, but patience. Because I can remember last season, all three of us at some point was arguing, you need to break up this core 4. You need to figure out, like, you can't win with this backcourt. This right here is not working. And I told Kobe Altman last month, I said, I owe you an apology because I should have looked in the mirror and did a parallel from that to you. When you're building something and you believe in what you're building, like, you got to have some type of crazy ass faith to stick to the course when everybody around you is telling you this isn't going to work and you're going to break it up. And you look at this team now, and we talk a lot about the chemistry and the depth of this team. And none of this happens, man, if we make, like, the moves that we said that he should have made.
They still got to win. They still got to win before he gets all the flowers back. But I do agree. He's the favorite to win Executive of the Year, and rightfully so.
Yeah, they got to pull it off.
You still got to win.
They have to pull it off. If they pull it off, I give him all the credit in the world.